My guest today is a reporter, a writer. I have known of her for years. She tells a story and informs you with care, truth, and as if you're present with her all the time. Her career spanned 37 years as a reporter at the Detroit Free Press, currently as also still with the Free Press sometimes. She has 4 spectacular books published by Arcadia in their Image of American series. Her first book is the Detroit Gesu Church of Michigan. Then the second book is Blessed Salinas Casey. The third book is Immaculate Heart of Mary, Sisters of Michigan. And her most recent release is Mercy High School of Michigan. I am pleased to welcome just an amazing spirit in her writing as a human being. I'm welcoming Patricia Montemurri to the show. Thank you so much for being here, Patricia. And I get to call you Patty now for the rest of the show. So amazing. You also, I think we're in this time, you actually published 2 books during COVID, really, or you finished, you went to press. So this one came out, which was kind of wonderful for it to come out like in about March or April of the COVID thing, and to get this in the mail from my brother with a little, signature, from you. Just, it was one of those things that was nice in a time when you couldn't really be with lots of people. I mean, I was, because I was working with the children of the first responders and stuff like that, but it was nice. And then, of course, I'm having a major connection to this because I decided, to make that film about the Sisters of Immaculate Heart of Mary, just because of my aunt being a nun and other sister Stephanie. And the funny thing is for me, reading all your, so much more than, I detailed 2 women, they shared their story. But we obviously, I was blessed with the same archivist of photos as you were. So many of these photos were near and dear to me because I watched them as my editor and I were doing them over and over again. But, these women, and then this is like, I knew about her for a long time because they told me much more about
Sister Teresa Maxis, yes.
Back then. And it was still it was just sort of like, I mean, they just kind of hid that she was a person of color
They did. So the congregation of the Sister Servants of the Immaculate Heart of Mary.
You should do a Hamilton about her.
Right. Yeah. It's the oldest congregation of Catholic sisters in the state of Michigan. It was founded in 1845, and it was founded in Monroe, Michigan, which is a town south of Detroit that had a lot of folks from Quebec. There were a lot of French Canadians who lived in this town, Monroe. And in the 1840s, there was a priest who wanted to recruit a nun to start a school to be able to speak to these French Canadians. He found such a teacher. She was in Baltimore, Maryland, but she was a member of the first Catholic congregation of American sisters of color. She descended from enslaved Africans on the island of Haiti, and she was in Baltimore, and she could pass for white. She had very fair complexion. She had light colored hair and blue eyes. And because she spoke French so well, and she was actually very well educated, Father Gillette, this French Belgian-born priest, he brings her to Monroe, Michigan, where she passes for white, and she starts a congregation and a school that teaches the children of these French Canadian settlers. And for much of its history, and the bishops at the time, the men, the priests, eventually found out that she was of mixed race, and they thought this was scandalous. I mean, they essentially banish her from Michigan and send her to Pennsylvania, and then the priests in Pennsylvania find out and they banish her again. She ends up in Quebec. But the congregation she started lives on today, and it was the it was the congregation that provided many of the teachers in the Archdiocese of Detroit and throughout Michigan, and actually throughout the United States, and founded some great schools. And they've been leaders.
They're civil rights leaders. They're all kinds of and you had that list of these amazing things that scientists and this. And
right.
So many.
Well, one of the One of the first women to earn a PhD in physics from the University of Michigan was an IHM nun. And she was recruited secretly by the US government to help work on the Manhattan Project in
Oh,
Chicago
wow.
that
With some
developed.
people, I've met some people here, older people, like sons
Yeah.
of, their parents were in the Manhattan Project. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because she was such a math whiz. And to think your math teacher from Holy Redeemer High School in Detroit was secretly, taking the train to Chicago to work on the nuclear bomb is just mind blowing. And there was another sister who really, Sister Mary Emile Panay, who helped convince American bishops and priests that the nuns who were teaching in their schools needed to be educated to teach all these kids. She helped lead a movement nationally to make sure that Catholic sisters had proper training and college degrees before they entered a classroom to teach others. And then there's another sister that was, those photos are, during the time when, in the 60s, when sisters were wrestling with the changes brought on by Vatican II.
Yeah, we were part of that thing. We saw our nuns go from long to short to pantsuits to all kind of polyester to everything.
Well, right. You might remember I was talking about Sister Archon, who encouraged me to be a writer. When the change came, when she was going to leave the long habit behind and dress in a shorter, more modern habit and not fully cover her forehead, she came to my house because my mom was a seamstress, and she asked my mom to shorten her habit and shorten her veil. And she also asked my mom to dye her hair because she had a lot of curly gray hair in the front. And when that was going to be revealed for the first time in I don't know how many years, she didn't want the gray to show. So this was, I was in the 5th grade, I think, when this happened. And I'm like, what? There's